But it's an explosive report by the DIG prisons in Karnataka which accuses senior prison officials of taking a 2 crore bribe to give VIP privileges to Sasikala in jail. The DIG, Rupa Modgil, says that a special kitchen has been set up for the former AIADMK General Secretary, but her boss has denied the allegations.
If you're a VIP like Sasikala, then it doesn't matter if you're in jail. You'll get special privileges, for a price of course. And in the case of the former AIADMK General Secretary, the cost was allegedly 2 crore rupees. In a report by Karnataka's Deputy Inspector General of Prisons, Rupa Modgil, who inspected the Bengaluru jail on the 10th of July, a separate kitchen has been set up for Sasikala. This special benefit after prison officials, including Rupa's boss, the DGP of prisons, H.N. Satyanarayan Rao, were allegedly bribed.
I have not written anything without proof. In that report, there are facts which even now can be proved. So let there be an inquiry.
An embarrassed state government has ordered a probe, and Rupa's boss was quick to dismiss the allegations, calling the report baseless.
She is in an ordinary woman's barrack, first floor. Okay? And there is nothing, no undue favors being done, even in the matter of visitation. She is consuming prison food brought from our kitchen. Because we have to ensure that there is no poisoning.
Special privileges for the VIPs and the money bags inside the Bengaluru Central Prison is not unheard of. Earlier in the year, a RTI reply showed how 14 times visitors were allowed to meet Sasikala in a span of 30 odd days, while the jail manual allows only one visit every fortnight. The report also mentions how Abdul Karim Telgi, the kingpin in the fake stamp paper racket, gets 4 people or 4 helpers who are often seen giving him a massage. The ganja business is also thriving inside the jail. 18 people out of the 25 tested were seen to be addicted to ganja. In earlier occasions, SIM cards, mobile phones and cigarettes have been recovered during raids.
நாட்டில தான் பல பிரச்சனைகள் இந்த ஆட்சியில் நடந்துட்டு இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தா இப்ப சிறைச்சாலைகள்லயும் பேசக்கூடிய அளவுக்கு சூழ்நிலை வந்திருக்கு. சசிகலா வந்து அவங்க பெங்களூரு சிறையிலேயே போய் அதிகாரிகள்கிட்ட பணம் கொடுத்து ஏதோ வசதிகள்லாம் தேடி கொண்டதாக பல செய்திகள் வந்துகிட்டு இருக்கு.
The latest corruption charge comes at a time when Sasikala's review petition in the disproportionate assets case is about to come up in the Supreme Court. With Harish Upadhyay, Amitabh Revi, NDTV.
Well, what is it about the state of our prisons that we see this story repeated again and again, year after year, in state after state? It's not just unique to Sasikala. Joining us on the program tonight, we have Mr. Sunil Gupta, the former legal advisor to Tihar Jail. Also with us, Mr. C. Rajshekharan, supporter of the AIADMK and senior lawyer. Manu Sundaram, spokesperson of the DMK. Senior advocate of the Supreme Court, Mr. Sanjay Hegde is with us. Mr. Maxwell Pereira, former joint commissioner of the Delhi Police. And my colleague Sunitra Chaudhary here in the studio with us. She, in fact, has just come out with a book called Behind Bars that has looked at this very aspect of how famous people who spent their time in jail have often exploited the system and managed to get away with so much. Let me take this first question to you, Mr. Sunil Gupta. Are you even surprised when you hear about the possibility that Sasikala could be getting a special kitchen and other special privileges? From your own experience, does this even surprise you, Mr. Gupta?
Basically, I am having 35-year experience of the prison running, and I am not surprised because whenever influential prisoners are coming to the jail, they are getting such treatment. I am not surprised. Secondly, there is a provision in the manual under which they have to eat the food cooked in the jail kitchen. There is no provision in any jail manual of India in which a prisoner is allowed to run its own kitchen. That is totally illegal, and I want to tell you that the Honorable Supreme Court, in so many judgments, they have deprecated this practice in which special treatment is being given to the influential prisoner. In one case in Delhi, even the Honorable Delhi High Court has directed that if you are giving special privileges to the influential prisoner, that amounts to the contempt of court.
Right. And as you say, it's something that's very, very common in your own 35-year experience, that every time an influential person is behind bars, this is what happened. Maxwell Pereira, therefore, that obviously brings into question the role of the police. I mean, even in the case of Shashikala, the accusation at the moment, which is being denied by her boss, is of a massive bribe being paid in order to have this special prison for her. I'm sure you've come across these cases yourself. What does it tell you about the state of the police force?
It is unfortunate. Actually, I think one should understand that the prison management is not actually under the police. Those police officers are deputed for certain positions like DIG prisons and DGP prisons in this case. They are actually under the Home Department of the government, independent of the police management. That is number one, to be understood correctly. Number one. Number two, thereafter, there is an air of permissiveness all over the country and all sorts of things. It is not uncommon to hear of these kind of irregularities that are happening in all walks of life, not necessarily only in the prison, but in the prison one hears of it rampantly. It is atrocious. It is absolutely lack of management, collusion, and I think less said the better in this. And the government, I believe, has already ordered a probe in this, which is the right course of action properly. I think it should be gone into. It is shameful that 2 IPS officers in these 2 positions are at loggerheads. It doesn't augur well to the police managements anywhere, especially in the country, as a police as a whole. And as far as prison management is concerned, the rampant use of drugs within this thing, smuggling of cell phones into the domain of these prisoners, and various other malpractices, especially in the form of privileges given to people, like and these privileges are bought against hard cash, and that cash is again smuggled into the place, or the external people come and give
Absolutely.
it
and I just want to take from what you said
not
about
necessarily the exchange need not be in the
based on what you said, so I just want to take
the
this to
exchange need
Mr.
not
Hegde.
be in the prison only. The exchange could be anywhere outside.
Sanjay Hegde, what Maxwell Pereira said, one, about how shameful it is actually and sad at some level to see 2 senior IPS officers at loggerheads with each other on this particular issue about Shashikala. But again, as Harish, my colleague, was reporting from Bangalore about other irregularities at the prison, random drug tests showing that 18 of the prisoners were using ganja, other drugs, that there were special privileges for Abdul Karim Telgi. There were helpers because he was using a wheelchair. He enjoys 3 or 4 helpers in his barrack. I mean, again, a lot of these are not new, and Sunetra is going to give us more examples of other well-known influential people. But why is it that we're not able to get a grip on this? Why is it that despite knowing that influential VIP prisoners take advantage of the system, that we're not able to get a grip on it?
Listen, being in prison is essentially being powerless. That a poor man who goes into prison is rendered even more powerless. But when a rich man goes into prison, the power of his money sometimes travels within him. A prison runs on not only the administrators, it runs on the guards, it runs on the warders, it runs on the prison trustees. At each stage of that process, it can be subverted. Sometimes cash is currency, sometimes favors, sometimes cigarettes. It happens in all prisons. The only thing is that this kind of scale of subversion doesn't happen. Prisoners do smuggle in little things like cigarettes, sometimes other stuff, but having an entire kitchen to yourself, being accommodated in the prison hospital, or being given very light duties, like when you are under rigorous imprisonment, being assigned to work in the library, for instance, all these are favors which are within the realm of administration, and those administrators are never always continually monitored. To my mind, one way of going about it without breaching prisoners' privacy would be to ensure that common areas, corridors are always under CCTV surveillance, and those the CDs of that should be kept available for a considerable length of time. That is one way of actually bringing the situation under control, because you can then monitor who moves where.
Right.
That doesn't happen, because what really happens is that within the prison there is a VIP atmosphere which is created for special guests.
Okay, before I get Mr. Rajshekharan and Manu Sundaram in on this, because I know there will be a political war of words on this. Sunitra, your book deals with this at great length, and of course this probably looks like, oh, what's the big deal about a kitchen in prison, right? Because you've documented a lot of other stuff that happens in jails, which came as a shock when we read it.
Well, you know, I wanted to, because Sanjay Hegde, what I wanted to just disagree with, you know, he says that it doesn't always happen. Actually, it is more the norm than being an exception. We know this, and perhaps it's not a surprise to someone like Sunil Gupta, because he's just retired, so he's a little free to speak about it. Sunil Gupta would have denied all of these reports just a few months ago because he was the law officer. But what is actually really interesting is this massage bit, right? Today, what's come out is the news that Abdul Karim Telgi is getting massages. Did you know that most of the inmates that I interviewed say massages are the only things that all inmates enjoy? The richer inmates hire poorer inmates to do massages, and it's the norm. I mean, it is completely illegal, but it's a form of earning employment over there. What is actually really shocking about this story is the kind of collusion that is usually there. What DIG Rupa has done is break that code of silence which is there among prison officials. Usually in all of these places, in fact, these are all police officers telling me and inmates telling me these stories. They say, if you go to jail, you can buy anything like an iPhone 7. Only thing is, it'll cost a little bit more. It's a complete, you could get everything, it'll just cost a little more. What the interesting thing is, it's interesting because she says in her report, DIG Rupa says in her report, that I'm very surprised that the DGP doesn't know. It is true that most DGPs of big jails like Tihar or the Karnataka jail or the Bengaluru
may
jail
not be so intimately involved.
No, because they don't go.
Yeah.
See,
and that's a problem too.
That's a huge problem. Usually it's the jailers who are there, who run like kingdoms over there, who are the ones who are very, very corrupt, and they're the ones who allow these things to happen. So whether a bribe was paid, we don't know, but it's very, very possible. It happens a lot. Whether the kitchen, separate kitchen, it happens a lot. Pappu Yadav has gone on record to tell me, he says, I was a VIP, so I was getting special food. He felt bad for other prisoners who weren't getting special food. In fact, one DMK person told me today that jail is so desperate that people do desperate things. And he didn't deny that this could have happened to people as well, to Shashikala. You know, so it is a complete possibility, because separate kitchens, it's something that Pappu Yadav has accepted. A. Raja said, every morning, we all thought A. Raja went to jail and, you know, he was under jail conditions. Every morning, someone from the canteen would come and say to him, Sir, aaj aap kya lenge? So this, what is actually amazing is that this has completely exposed what is actually normal inside jail. I just want to give you one other instance.
Let me just get first comments, Sunitra, just from Mr. Rajshekharan on that, and then Manu Sundaram. Mr. Rajshekharan, you just heard, you know, what all the panelists are saying, and today, how would you look at this privilege that Shashikala seems to be enjoying inside prison? How would you defend it?
Nidhi, see, first I want to make an important point. The DGP prisons have clearly said that he is not aware of this report which has been told on the media by the DIG Rupa. So I don't want to go into the merit of the matter, as an inquiry has been ordered by the Chief Minister Karnataka, and the Congress President Dinesh Gundrao has also gone on record and said the outcome of the inquiry, we will take appropriate action. So there ends the matter. I don't want to hypothetically speculate on what is going to happen next, because nobody is aware of what really happened inside the prison, because the prison authorities are the people who are taking care of the rules according to their manual, existing manual. Each and every state prison has their own rule, and they go by that. And in this particular case, Shashikala had approached the court, and I am told, but I don't have first-hand information, that I am told that the lower court had instructed them to get some fan, bed and all this stuff. But about this kitchen, I don't have any information, and after the inquiry report comes in the public space, we are competent to debate on it. As far as other issues, it is up to the jail authorities to respond, because it is an internal rift between two officers, and it is very unfortunate that to make wild allegations that some 2 crore bribe was paid and all this stuff, because there is no proof. I mean, this is spoiling the reputation.
Why would a DIG rank officer make an allegation that too against her boss? Mr. Rajshekharan, why would a DIG rank officer?
I'll tell you. I don't want to. No, Nidhi, with due respect to all IPS officers in the panel and outside, see, there are so many umpty number of good officers serving in the force because they want to live up to the expectations of the public who at large. But casting aspersions, making wild allegations at good officers will spoil their reputation, and their whole force will demoralize.
Well, having said that, there is a probe. Mr. Rajshekharan, one moment. I want to ask Madhusundaram, because the DMK has made this a big political issue. 1 second, sir.
Against your bosses.
Mr. Sundaram, the point here is, of course, there's a probe that has now been ordered, but at the moment, it pretty much is her word against his, isn't it?
No, it's more than that, Nidhi, because I don't think she's made these are not vague and general and very sort of baseless allegations. DIG Rupa has made very specific allegations, and an officer of her caliber and standing would know what the repercussions are if her allegations were found to be false. I think they, being in the police force, they know what the law of the land is. So I wouldn't brush it off so lightly. And I think the Chief Minister of Karnataka has done the right thing by ordering a high-level probe. But there is a larger pattern here. I mean, politically speaking, we some months ago saw that cash was being given to MLAs to vote in the ADMK. Then we heard that cash was being given to get their election symbol back by the ADMK. And now it just seems to be another case of cash being given to get some privileges inside jail. But see, what is the larger question? A lot of the panelists here have said that, you know, the systems need to reform.
All these are wild allegations.
That there needs to be CCTV, that there needs to be greater monitoring and supervision. Now, listen, what happens is, who is controlling the supervision? The allegation is directly against the highest supervising authority of the jail. It seems like Ms. Shashikala, who has been convicted in a corruption case, has gone in, and instead of that having a reformative effect on her, she has further corrupted some prison officials. If the allegations are proven to be true, we welcome the high-level inquiry by the Chief Minister.
This is not the way. Let the inquiry report be out.
I think we should wait.
Let us wait for the inquiry report. There has been a high-level probe by the Chief Minister. See, how can you?
Yes,
see, I can also cast aspersions on A. Raja and Kanimozhi also. They also enjoyed in Tihar. That's what Sunitra Chowdhury is also saying. So
that's right.
All this stuff you
and
need hard evidence.
That's exactly what Sunitra is pointing out.
Let us be fair.
Yeah, that A. Raja was enjoying special privileges as well.
Enjoying the VIP treatment inside Tihar jail.
Yeah. Okay, one second, gentlemen. I just want to ask Mr. Sunil Gupta, because it's very rare for us to have somebody like Mr. Gupta here, having been the law officer dealing with Tihar jail. Mr. Gupta, can you now that you are able to speak freely, honestly and candidly tell us, how does it work? If I was in jail in Tihar tomorrow, or Sunitra was, and if she wanted to get a cell phone, how easy is it to do that?
Basically, you know what happened when you are having allegation against the officer holding the DG prison post, then you know these inquiries are eyewash unless these are conducted by the judicial officer. Such inquiries are totally eyewash, because one is a senior IPS officer and another IPS or IAS officer, they are conducting the inquiry. They will never indict the prison staff. Basically, as regards this mobile phone is concerned, these were being smuggled inside the prison with the connivance of the staff as well as by their negligence. So this is not very uncommon that these mobile phones are mostly possessed by the influential prisoners.
And what is the most outrageous thing that you've seen an influential prisoner do in all your 35 years in Tihar?
Basically, I have come across the instances where this liquor was smuggled inside the prison. Mobile phone smuggling was very common. Despite we having very good paraphernalia, very good security arrangements, but these things were being smuggled inside the prison by the vested interest.
Liquor and cell phones, though, I have to say,
payments are made.
Sounds a little milder than I thought.
No,
but yeah,
it's very simple. How payments? Because someone
Basically,
who made a payment of 50,000
This is
rupees
considered as the status symbol.
yeah, absolutely.
Someone who paid 50,000 to move a ward from a dirty
Basically,
ward to a cleaner ward said this was done. He got a court order from the court saying you can be moved, but he went to the superintendent and said, this is a court order, please move me. The superintendent just kept delaying it and wouldn't clear it. Then his go-between, and who are the go-betweens? The go-betweens are the older prison convicts who've been there for a long time, who can act and speak on behalf of the jailers. The convict tells you, you have to pay this much amount of money to it. So you have to then send a word to your family or your party workers or somebody
or
who then makes a payment to the outside the bank, and then your work gets done. It happens all the time. In Delhi, Mr. Sunil Gupta won't say it, and I obviously won't take the name right now because it could be libelous, but in Delhi, everybody knows in Delhi, there is a hotel has been set up for jail officials to enjoy because of very famous inmates, parents, and they're very well off. So they've opened a hotel right next to Tihar jail where prison officials can go and take the hospitality, and there's quid pro quo. So it is just shocking, Nidhi. And
I have to ask you the name after we after we hit a break. But Sanjay Hegde, then what do we do? Because if you have this kind of connivance of officials, of the police, of the jail administration, it's something that happens so regularly that it's sort of normalized in this country, then there's pretty much no scope for reform, is there?
Well, make a few people lose their jobs and have constant sudden checks by somebody outside the system, because this could possibly have to be somebody from the judiciary. There are judicial visits, there are lawyers visiting, but they often visit in the context of cases. They will visit, they will meet a prisoner at a designated spot, but somebody who's authorized to look through or conduct surprise inspections, that is one way to go. The other thing that person could do would be to go through all the CD recordings. If there are adequately put in cameras at crucial and strategic spots. But despite all that, you will not be able to solve problems like that influential prisoner whose parents have set up a restaurant next to Tihar jail. You can only minimize the problem, you cannot eliminate it.
I think that's probably the most practical.
I would, however, like to see the judiciary get tough that's a good point. I would like to see the judiciary get tough in such cases.
Maybe ultimately it's the judiciary that is in charge of the jail.
Most of the sentences are of rigorous imprisonment, and rigorous imprisonment does not seem to be put in place.
All right, well, and as I think Mr. Pereira was also trying to say, ultimately the onus does lie on the judiciary about whether it wants to take this issue head on. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight on this big story, what is actually the big headline today coming out of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Thanks very much.